He's the leading rusher for the top-ranked team in Iowa.
From midfield, and it will be just a little counterattack, cutback play, and busting it up the middle is Creighton Mitchell, and he is gone. He's going to have a 50-yard touchdown, Creighton Mitchell.
A do-it-all back with speed and elusiveness.
When he puts that foot in the ground and decides that he's going to make a cut, he is back to full speed almost immediately.
Creighton Mitchell is everything you want in your lead running back.
Creighton embodies all the things we're looking for in a player, not just as a tailback, but just in a football player. One, he has a passion for the game. He loves to play. Two, his work ethic is unmatched. He's willing to put in the time that it takes to improve himself. He's smart. He understands, his football acumen is real high. He understands the game. He gets it when you talk to him about defensive concepts and how a team is going to try to defend us. He knows where he fits within the scope of our offense. He's willing to block. He can catch the football, and when the ball's in his hands, he's very dynamic.
He's amassed over 1,400 yards and 19 touchdowns so far in his senior season.
Stretch it just a little bit, and Mitchell, there it is again. Once he just put that foot in the ground, goes north and south, and hops over the goal line for his second touchdown of the game.
But Creighton isn't done yet. His Valley Tigers have one game left, and it's a big one. They'll take on rival Dowling Catholic in the 4A state championship, a title he's worked toward his whole life.
I think we always knew that Creighton was special, mainly because he's the youngest of 5. So week after he was born, he was on the road going to baseball games. And you could just tell that he was determined to be on a team and do his own sport from a very young age.
When I really started playing football, I mean, it was really from the day I was first born. You know, my dad was a running back at UNI, so I mean, I just kind of grew up with the ball in my hand. I mean, whether it was football, basketball, baseball, you know, and I mean, I kind of played everything.
At a very young age, probably right around 4th or 5th grade, but even 3rd grade, I just remember he considered himself to be the toughest at his age. So, you know, at one point, he and I were out in the front yard, and I said, Creighton, I said, you know, you act like you're really, really tough. I said, what I'm going to do one of these days, I'm going to find a young boy that's your age, and I'm going to buy a pair of boxing gloves, and I'm going to put you guys in boxing gloves, and I think this guy that I bring over is going to just beat your butt. And he said, okay, Dad, why don't you just do that? And I just thought, you know, I just throw something out there to see how he would take it, you know, and so I forgot all about it. And 2 weeks later, he came back up to me and he said, Dad, he said, where's that guy you said you were going to bring over here? You know, I'm waiting on him. And so from that point, I knew he wasn't scared and had a big heart, and he could hold his own.
And he's done more than just hold his own. Creighton excelled in all sports, but fell in love with football. So when it was time to move, he knew where he wanted to be.
He just decided at a very young age that whatever sport he played, he wanted to be in a championship.
Early on, we made the commitment that we would move wherever he wanted to go, that he could pick. He could go to different schools and pick, and Ira would try and find a job wherever that worked out. I would follow, we would make that work, and he chose Valley. So.
And the Valley Tigers seem to be just the right fit for Mitchell. With a legacy of great running backs that came before him, Creighton is looking to make his own mark in the record books. But those aren't the only books that are important to him.
I mean, me personally, I actually really like school. I had always had the dream of being in the NFL and being a doctor, so I mean, school kind of goes hand in hand with that. It's really just all about being where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. So I mean, I've always been told that if you show up to class, I mean, if you're a nice person, if you take care of what you're supposed to be taking care of, everything else will take care of itself.
His older brother, you know, graduated from Iowa State, and he's an aerospace engineer for Boeing. And he has a sister, and she just graduated from UNI with her master's in speech pathology. And so, you know, when you follow that, you can't help but to have some of that rub off on you.
His 4 siblings have had a profound impact on Creighton's life, in particular his brother Kincaid.
I mean, he wasn't able to talk till he was 7 or 8 years old. And I mean, to see, for me silently, to see how he's come from 7 and 8 years old to now, I mean, it's really been, really huge for me. I mean, just kind of growing up with him, because I mean, when I was growing up, I mean, my oldest brother was a little bit too old, just kind of hang out with. But me and him, I mean, he was just kind of like, he was kind of my guy. He was my best friend growing up. I mean, he's still my best friend to this day.
But there's no one he's closer to than Mom.
I mean, the relationship I have with my mom it's second to none. I had dislocated my shoulder against Southeast Polk, and I came back against Dowling, and she had told me, it's up to you if you want to play. I mean, I'm gonna love you either way. And I played, and we ended up winning. And I can remember, after the game, I mean, she was already crying by the time I got to her, and she came up and gave me a hug, and she told me how much she loves me and whatnot. I mean, everybody around me knows that, if there's anybody that I truly, truly, truly love and will, take a bullet for, it's first anybody in my family, but it's more just my mom.
He and I did everything together, and we were always together because he's the youngest. So he and I had our little time when the other kids were at school, and he was the greatest. Still is. I mean, he's just my guy.
Colleges also want to make Creighton their guy. He has a handful of full-ride scholarship offers, including North Dakota and Army. He also has preferred walk-on opportunities at the University of Iowa and Iowa State. What we know is this championship won't be his last game, but it will be the most important.
A championship it'd mean the world to me. I mean, just because, at this stage in the game, if we win a state championship, that means we haven't lost. And I mean, to bring a championship back to, not only Valley, but bring a championship back to Coach Swenson. I mean, just seeing the work that he puts in on a daily basis, and seeing, how he treats his players and different things like that. I mean, there's nobody more deserving than, Coach Swenson. And if you go, farther than Coach Swenson, you see all the people that have, put their heart, their sweat, their tears, into this program. I mean, it'd mean a lot to me to give back to them, something that I think, everybody on the team, everybody that's ever touched this program, that's what they deserve.
This is Creighton's chance to bring the Tigers one more title and leave a lasting legacy.
I'd hope that my legacy would be, that he was a very great guy. I mean, everybody liked to be around him. I mean, he was a hard worker, and he never took any days off. But more importantly, he was a great teammate, and he was a great person.